How's it going, folks? The market is breaking down right now as I'm recording this. I thought I would grab a sort of live reaction and thoughts as this is happening. Let's take a look. So here we go. The floor has gone, at least on the Coinbase chart, currently at a price of $107,245. Now, as you know, a lot of these moves have been driven, very heavily driven by liquidations. And you can see right now, we're looking at a liquidation risk, a long liquidation risk of $164 million down at $106,700. Mark that out on the chart here, and it looks like we could hit. So to contextualize this, I am very eager to see what happens at these lows, how price reacts at these lows, whether we see a massive springboard out of this, like the ball in the water analogy, right? When you push a inflatable ball underwater in a swimming pool or something like that, price overextends to the downside. Often we scoop up liquidity. A lot of people snipe in on low limit orders and scoop up the price, and then it shoots up again after that. But let's see. I also want to see if the market still has room to push through these liquidations, right? If there is still forced selling happening down at these depressed levels. I think it probably is going to happen, to be honest. I think we're probably going to extend a little bit beneath these lows. But what I'm looking out for is exactly how far we can go. So yeah, just as a reminder, long liquidation risk is stacked against us right now. Okay, look at, we're right up against this. I suspect what's probably going to happen is we're going to push through some of these. We're going to see another stretch to the downside. And once again, all of the lemmings are going to jump in short, and we're just going to see a continued stacking of leverage short risk to the upside. Looking here at the liquidation heat map, about $86 million in the last 4 hours. So we want to see how much this number goes up, essentially. Pretty slow move so far. You got to remember that the low put in from that wick was different across different trading venues. Okay, I'm just looking at the Coinbase spot chart here, but if we look at BTC USD on Binance, for example, the low of the wick, again, 107,471. If we look at some stable pairs, right, the futures markets, that will be different again. So yeah, look here on Binance, BTC USDT, the lows come in at just about $102,000. Peak liquidation risk level down now to $105,500, because just looking at this profile, now you got to remember this is average data, okay, and it's cumulative, but right now it's looking like the peak of that is coming in at about $315 million worth of long liquidation risk at about $105,500. Yeah, Ripple also at a massive discount. And once more, we're about to lose the local low. Solana, $181.4. So there you go. Let's see how this plays out. We are now just beneath $107,000 on the Coinbase spot market here. We have just lost $107,000. Let's see how those liquidations come through. And this is generally structural support. All right. Also look at the lows that we put in towards the end of August. The same lows that have just gone. So we've just lost structural support on the higher time frames as well. If we zoom out here to the daily charts, see how that renewed liquidation risk level is coming in pretty much in sync with this low here. So it'll be interesting to see how far we can run on this. I suspect we'll probably get caught. This wick will probably be caught and bought up before these lows. But crazy to think that is going to be a break to the downside of 100,000 if we get that low. Okay. Of course, the first area that we're looking at is that peak liquidation risk up at 105,500. We're pretty slow so far, right? We're not really, at least yet, we're not really ripping through long liquidations. You can see that has gone up, right? That was 80 something. Last time I looked at that, we're at $118 million now, long liquidations. And we look how this is stacked to the upside, right? There's so many shorts right now. And see how this long liquidation risk has gone down a little bit. That means people are emotionally capitulating, right? They're getting out of leverage positions, which actually brings down the liquidation risk at those levels. It does mean selling, but it's generally going to be more controlled selling than a lot of people dumping at the same time as stops go off, or as a lot of people get liquidated at the same time, which is obviously the worst case scenario. So now looking at $230 million worth of net long liquidations at $105,500 and $1 billion plus to the upside. That is how fear really snowballs in markets like this. And when people can act on that fear with leverage, that's when you get the potential for these massive whipsaw movements, both up and down. I still think we're probably going to see the floor go here, and it's going to be fairly dramatic. I'd be surprised if this turned around right now. It's like kind of gauge that the market needs a bit of a stab into liquidity at this point to turn around rapidly. Now, I haven't actually topped up this futures account yet. So we are down currently 6 grand on that long position. I would like to average into this further, but I'm going to be cautious of that liquidation price, which is right now $102,532. Let's actually close out this this Ripple position and this Sol position. Those are both smaller than I think I wanted to be in those, and I want to focus on the Bitcoin trade right now as well. We'll be looking to scoop up Ripple and Sol further down as well, but from a risk management perspective, it makes sense right now to just focus on one asset. And you can see green, 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 green. This means all of the longs are getting liquidated, or on net, right? More longs than shorts are getting liquidated in all of these markets. Okay, BTC, ETH, Sol, Hype, others, BNB, XRP, etc., etc., etc. Which makes sense. All right, it's happening. 106,300. We are up to, take a look here, $192 million of long liquidations. This liquidation map would basically lead us to believe that a liquidation event like we saw the other day is pretty unlikely, because there's just not that much leverage left in the market, right? That was a $19 billion liquidation slip that we saw the other day. Now, that doesn't mean that we can't see the price come down as far as that. It certainly doesn't mean that. It just means that there isn't that much long leverage in the market right now. So there's not that much long liquidation risk in the market right now. So something as dramatic as this would be pretty unlikely. Right, we are back, and currently we're just challenging that level that we were speaking about, the $105,500 level. Just coming through that now. And let's see how we wick from this. Total liquidations now over $300 million, long liquidations. And once again, the liquidation map is really petering out on the downside. Like, look, I mean, so much long liquidation has just been swept out. 105.5 is gone. Like, I mean, there's nothing there anymore. It feels like this has been something of a slow crash, if that makes sense to say out loud. But I think that is really just indicative of the fact that there's so few leverage longs left in the market. But I think we are reaching kind of boiling point here, where this is gonna wick. The next level of interest to the downside coming into right now. That was this low here that we put in on the 1st of July on the daily candle. Look at that, about $350 million worth of long liquidations. 354. It's happening right now. 1 billion total liquidations over the last 24 hours. See, the majority of these are longs, which makes perfect sense. And see there, we just wicked a little bit off that $105,100 level. Again, that was the low that we put in on the 2nd of July or the 1st of July. But I don't think that is going to be the end of it. Might be, but I don't think that's likely. I think we're going to see a bit more pain. Total liquidations now on the long side are up to nearly $360 million. So here we are, folks, $104,894. 105,500 has long gone, and it looks like we are still melting away. It was $430 million worth of long liquidations just in the last 4 hours, $450 million worth in the last 12 hours. And if you look at the profile here, we're just running out of longs to liquidate. We're not there yet. Okay, I'm seeing this peaking out now at about 103,500, and that is worth another $181 million worth of long liquidations. But short liquidation risk is now up at like $1.5 billion. up at 117,750. So I'm going to keep watching this. I think we're going to keep melting away, and I suspect this is probably going to come to something of a tipping point where we wick down a little bit. But yeah, looking to scoop up some spot at these levels and further down as well if we continue to slip. So there you go. Hope you found that interesting or at least entertaining. Of course, that is purely just my opinion shared just for entertainment purposes. Nothing I say should be considered financial advice. Catch you in the next one. Keep your capital safe.